Hey, good morning and welcome back to another video. Well, this feels so strange for a number of reasons. The first one, I haven't picked up the camera. It's got to have been at least 10 weeks. Since we got back from Florida, it's been in its box, tucked in the cupboard, and this morning I had to dust it down. It was that bad. And two, I'm actually dressed and got my hair down. I have lived in pajamas with my hair up for weeks. But before I go any further, I just want to say a massive thank you to all of you that have sent me messages. If you have no clue what's going on, a few weeks ago, I posted on Instagram explaining there wouldn't be a Sunday video because I was in hospital and the medication I was on, it was sending me in and out of consciousness, so I just couldn't edit. And ever since I sent that post, my DMs blew up with all the get well wishes, and also most of you have asked, could I do a video explaining what the heck has been going on? So here we are. So what I would suggest is pause this video now, go grab a tea or coffee, because I'm going to do a story time, and it may be a long one. Do you know one thing I've had to change? Actually, it's not one thing. I've had to change many things, but one of them is milk. I can no longer drink regular milk. I've had to switch it out to oat milk, and I was dreading it. But you know what? I will no longer drink regular milk. This is my new favorite. This is the Lidl's one, but I do prefer the Aldi's one, and they're only 80 pence. I'm trying to catch my breath, honestly. This is how quick my body gets tired. I've only been speaking 2.5 minutes and it feels like I've run a marathon. That's the joys of editing. I could be filming this video over the next 7 days and you'll never know. So I've had a rest and I've caught my breath. That actually rhymes. But I haven't managed to drink my tea yet. It's still very, very hot. I'm not one of those people that can drink it straight away as soon as it's been made. I've got to leave it for about half an hour to cool down. But as I'm talking to you, I can actually see a lot of orange. I bought these cups in Disney World a few years ago. They were in the character outlet store. They were on sale. I think they were like $19 down to $3. So I managed to get a few of them. And then the pillow that I bought this year, I never did get around to doing a Walt Disney haul because everything has gone Pete Tong since I've got home. So I'm going to jump straight into this story time and let you know what the heck has been going on. So if we rewind back to the day we landed, so when we took off, the captain did say this is going to be a bumpy ride because there was a hurricane in the Caribbean making its way to Florida, and the only way that he could do his flight path was to pretty much go over it. So for 5 hours we had a very bumpy ride. But it was all short. It was only a 6.5 hour flight. But if you saw my travel day home vlog, I actually caught it on camera, and when we came in to land, it felt as though the nose of the plane landed first on the runway and we all got jerked forward. But apart from that, the flight was great. We landed in the sunshine. We came home. I did a little bit of washing. I didn't have much because I'd done it all out in Florida and we had a takeaway. And then we went to bed. I took my melatonin and I didn't have any jet lag again, which was great. I went to bed at 9 and I think I got up at like 7 the next morning, so I had a good night's sleep. And then everything went wrong from Friday. I even know the days everything happened. We landed on the Thursday, and then the Friday, I remember saying to Gethin, gosh, my back is really hurting. It was like a burning sensation in the top of my back. But you know what I thought it was? I thought it was because of the landing and we got like jerked forward, so I didn't think anything of it. But as the day went on, my back was just hurting even more. And then I just went to bed. I think I took a paracetamol, just went to bed, and the next morning I woke up and it was still hurting. And then Saturday my parents came over. We were just chatting and telling them everything we had done in Florida, and out of nowhere I literally clenched onto my chest. It was like someone had put a belt around me and was just pulling it. It took my breath away, and I was sitting here actually and I slid off the chair onto the floor. I was like, this ain't right, I don't know what's happening here. And I was sweating. It was like someone had put me in the shower. I managed to get upstairs and then I was just so nauseous and I was just throwing up and my chest was getting worse. And I was on the bathroom floor for about 20 minutes. I just could not catch my breath. And then after 20 minutes, it kind of just eased. So I went in the bath and then I went to bed. And then the Sunday morning I got up. It was my first day back at work after 2 weeks off on annual leave. I still felt really nauseous and my back was still really, really hurting. I got into work. I was there in person, but my mind was honestly in another planet because I was in so much pain. But I got through my shift. I got home. Gethin had made me a roast dinner. I picked at it because I just felt so sick. And then I went in the bath and then I just chilled out. And it was about 8:30, I think it was. and then out of nowhere, bang, this pain in my chest just floored me again. But this time I was in the bedroom and we got like an ensuite, so I crawled to the ensuite. I was dripping in sweat. I know this is TMI, but this is literally what happened. It was like cold sweats. I was throwing up, and this pain was even worse than the day before. And again, the only way I can describe it is like someone's put a belt around you and just pulling it tighter and tighter, and you felt like your whole of your chest is just gonna explode. And Gethin said to me, Sarah, this is not right. Phone 111, see what the heck is going on. So I phoned 111, I explained everything that had happened. They said, it sounds as though you're having a heart attack. We need to get an ambulance to you, but unfortunately the ambulance is delayed for 4 to 8 hours. Is there any way you can get to the hospital on your own? Gethin, I didn't even finish that phone call. Gethin got his keys, got his coat, and we were in the car down to A&E. And I remember walking into A&E and the whole place was full of people, and all I just kept thinking was, I'm in too much pain just to sit there for hours and hours. I remember just standing up, holding my chest, and just rocking back and forth. When I went to reception to give my name, she had all my details already because 111 had passed everything over, and she said, you won't be waiting too long because you've got a chest problem, you'll be seen pretty much straight away, which kind of put me at ease. And literally within 15 minutes I was seen by a nurse, and she did my blood pressure and temperature. Then I had to wait another 20 minutes to see someone else, and they did my bloods, and then they did an ECG trace, and then I waited, I think 4 or 5 hours, so now it's like 2 in the morning, and then a doctor came over to me and called me in, and then the doctor said, good news, you haven't had a heart attack, you've had an angina attack. Now I thought angina was for old people. I didn't think, well, I'm not young, I'm 40, didn't have angina attacks. So he said, what you need to do, I'm going to give you this spray, go home, if you have another attack you need to spray at least 2 pumps under your tongue, and then the pain will ease. So I went home, we got home, I think it was like 4 in the morning at this point, went straight to bed, woke up the next day, and my parents were on annual leave, the boys were on summer holiday, Gethin had the day off, and I was in bed the whole day. They did not let me move at all. I literally stayed in bed for 24 hours. Had a good night's sleep, got up the next day, I felt like a new woman. I just did a little bit of pottering around and I hardly did anything. I literally walked the landing. I think I put 1 or 2 things away, and then I just sat down for the rest of the day and did nothing. Well, 4 o'clock came that Tuesday afternoon. Gethin was cooking. I just had to do a quick battery change. Honestly, the batteries on this camera don't last long at all. I've got 3 charging as we speak, but now I've completely lost track of where I was. Where were we? Oh yeah, it was Tuesday afternoon. Gethin was in the kitchen. I was here in the living room. I was actually just sitting here, and there's no other way to describe this, but I fell off this sofa like a sack. That is the only way I can explain it. And Gethin came in from the kitchen to the living room, and I said, quick, just go get me that spray that I meant to spray. He grabbed it, I sprayed it, and nothing happened. Absolutely nothing happened. And again, I managed to crawl to the bathroom. I was on the floor holding my chest. I was sweating. If someone could see me, it was like I had just got out of the shower. It was that bad. And then I was throwing up, and this pain just didn't go. The first time it lasted about 20 minutes. The second time it lasted about half an hour. This one just kept going and going. And I remember sitting on the bed and I was shaking. I think the pain was so bad I was just shaking. And then Gethin said, right, enough's enough. I'm phoning your father. He can come and watch the boys. I'm taking you straight back to A&E. So we got back to A&E, and yet again it was packed. It was full of people. And then I went to reception. I said I was here 48 hours ago. I've had the same chest pain. The doctor had given me medication for angina. It's not done anything. I need to see someone. And she said, oh, I'm so sorry. Because it's been over 24 hours, we have to do the whole process again. So I waited again, 15-20 minutes. They did my blood pressure. They did my temperature. And then I went into another room 10-15 minutes later. They did another ECG and they did my bloods. And then I waited about half an hour, and the doctor called me in, and he said, can you just explain to me what is going on, because this is a different doctor to what I seen 48 hours ago. So I explained to him, and he said to me, do you suffer from anxiety? And before he could finish that question, I think the look that I had given him, he knew that wasn't the question he should have been asking me, because I said to him, I have given birth twice. this pain I am experiencing is so much worse than being in labor. This is not an anxiety attack. And he said, so what do you think it is? I said, I don't know. I said, the only thing I could think of, could it be anything to do with my gallbladder? Could it be like stones or something? He said, there's no way that that would be a gallbladder issue because you're not constantly in pain. And then he asked me, he said, have you been on a long haul flight recently? I said, yes, we actually just got off a flight from America a few days ago. He said, right, I need to do an x-ray to see if you've got any, I think he said, was it air or water or something on your lungs? I can't remember what he asked. So he sent me for a chest x-ray. Then we waited in A&E and the pain just kind of eased throughout the hours. And then he called me in and he said, I've got your x-ray results and it's something called, right, hold on, let me think now what this is, costochondritis. And I have never ever heard of this thing before in my life. And he explained to me, he said, when I've been on roller coasters and they've put the restraints on me and they've pushed it on me, they've damaged my ribs. And then people who have I think I'm saying this right, costochondritis, mistake it for heart attacks, because when you have an attack with costochondritis, it sends shock waves to the heart and it feels like you're having a heart attack. So I went home and he only gave me like, I think, very strong painkillers. So I literally did not move for about 5 to 6 days. Again, I had Gethin helping me, the boys, because they were on summer holidays and my parents were still on annual leave. So for 5 to 7 days, I did not even move. I literally just sat there or in the bed. But I kept thinking, when I was reading up on this is such a hard word, that word I said earlier, that I shouldn't have been experiencing any like nauseous or sweats. It just didn't make sense why I had no appetite. I was constantly feeling sick. It just didn't make sense why I was experiencing the sweating and the vomiting. But then 3 days later, I had a phone call from the hospital. They said, we would like you to come in for an ultrasound. So a couple of days later, I went back to the hospital. I had an ultrasound. So they were scanning me. They were going back and forth, back and forth. And all of a sudden she stopped in the exact place that I've been experiencing this pain. And she was just going back and forth in this same place. And I was like, oh my gosh, she's found something. So when she had finished, I had to wait in the waiting room for the doctor to come and see me. And then he called me in and he said that they had found like loads of sludge in my gallbladder. I haven't got gallstones, but loads of sludge. And I didn't know what this meant. But he was talking, and Kevin said to me, Sarah, you completely switched off, didn't you, when he mentioned that you have to have an operation. So everything that he said in that room, I can't even tell you, because within 5 minutes he said I needed an operation. So I kind of just switched off. But he said, I need to have this removed because the sludge in there can cause a lot of side effects. So I went home again, I didn't move, I kept still, I didn't eat because I didn't want to trigger another attack. But then I would say, I think this was a Wednesday, then the Sunday came and all hell broke loose. This is where everything went from bad to worse. I had the biggest attack I have ever experienced in my life. So I was sitting here yet again, hadn't eaten for like 2 weeks now, and I decided I was going to have something to eat. That was the worst mistake of my life. I literally had a little sandwich, and again, I hit the floor here and I was crying. The pain was the worst pain I've experienced in the 3 previous attacks I've ever had, and I was rocking back and forth. Gethin literally picked me up, put me in the car, and we went back to A&E. I was sitting in A&E. I was in a wheelchair because at this point on this attack, I couldn't even walk. It just floored me. And this time the pain just did not go. It just stayed continuous. I was in a wheelchair in A&E and the tears were rolling from me because I was in so much pain. And this time I didn't get seen as quick as I had the previous times because they knew it wasn't a heart attack or an angina attack. And then after, I think we waited an hour and a half, 2 hours, they redid all the observations again. They did my bloods, they did my temperature, and I was sitting in that nurse's room like this. I was just rocking back and forth. And she said, right, I'm not going to put you back into A&E with all the other people. I can see you're in serious pain. We're going to get you into minors. So I had to wait just like another half an hour. They called me in and they put me in the minors. And in this area, all I remember, because Gethin's told me this whole story again, because from this point, everything for the next week is a complete and utter blur. So they wheeled me in. There was like 6 beds in a semicircle, and there was people all in it. They put me on the end bed, and these people were all sleeping because it was like 11 o'clock at night, and I was in the most extreme pain, and I was biting on my, like, I think I had a jumper on, and I was like this because I didn't want to wake him up. But whatever position I went in, I just could not get into any position that was pain-free. I was throwing up. Honestly, I was like this, please just put me in somewhere that I'm not in front of all these people. And then this was 11 o'clock, and then I had to see so many people throughout the whole night. But I just remember saying to them, please, just give me some pain relief. Please, I'm begging you. And they said, the only thing we can give you is paracetamol. I said, paracetamol is not going to touch this pain. Again, I've given birth twice. This pain is worse than labor, I'm telling you. So he said, no, the only thing I can give you is paracetamol. And I was begging him. I said, please just give me something. He said, I can give you oral Murph. And to be honest, that just took the edge off it. It didn't hardly touch me. But at 3 o'clock in the morning, a junior doctor came in, and I had to explain everything to him, what had happened. And then he did a bit of investigating. Again, I don't think he did any more tests that day, did he? No, I don't think I had any more tests. It was just the blood test that I had the few hours before. And then again, I was put back into that bed with the other 6 people around me. Gethin was able to stay with me. And then the doctor came in again about 5 in the morning. He walked up to me and he said, your results are all clear. There's nothing that's come through apart from your liver infection. You're okay to go home. Well, within 2 seconds, he turned, grabbed the file from some passing doctor, and he went, I'm so sorry, Mrs. Pritchard. I've just given you the complete and utter wrong results. This is what you've got. We're going to have to admit you into hospital. But you know what? I'm going to be one of them YouTubers now. I hate to do this, but sitting here talking now, because I've been talking for the last 15 minutes, my chest is getting so tight and I can feel the pain coming back. And if you can't tell, my voice is getting huskier, which means I'm getting tired. But I'm going to have to do a part 2. That will explain everything that's been going on for the last 10 weeks and why I've been in so much pain and why I can't talk longer than like 15 minutes. So if you would like to see part 2, then be sure to hit that subscribe button. Click that bell for post notifications, and I'll see you in part 2. Bye guys.